Yeah, it's me. I'm gonna give back to the community the cheap way that I am. My life is come to an end. I'm gonna give my free advice for anybody that wants to listen, that may need it, that don't have to listen, not charging. Don't owe me a goddamn thing. If they happen to catch a whiff of this, and they do, if they don't want to listen, then shut it off. But yeah, if they happen, it's just free advice. If anybody ever happens to listen to it, then they got free advice. It's a cooking show. Ain't no secrets for some people, but I love DoorDashian. They're the best, but everybody orders usually on the same time, and a lot of times, DoorDashian is the best, especially the drivers. They're super nice. You should try to be nice to them back. They're working their asses off. It's their young adult lives. I hate saying young adult because I have fucked up teeth. I've had like 5 different sets of teeth in my head. It's just hard for my little body to slow down and say young adults. And usually, if I say kid or yo or chick or bro, it's just because everybody got feelings like a little kid because nobody wants to be chainsawed apart, even as an old age. And it's not because I'm a creep and want to creep out little kids. It's I'm talking to young adults. I only hang out with young adults. I mean, not only, but you know what I'm saying? I don't, underage kids are not my children. If I seen one die in the streets that, needed a 911 call or something, I would, help them, but I'm not gonna stalk them. But usually I just say, it's hard to say young adults or older adult people. Usually, yeah. But anyway, it's just hard to say, and I don't really, I know I don't fuck around with little kids or nothing, 'cause they're not mine. You know what I'm saying? Why would I do that? If I seen one on the streets, I would definitely help them if they needed, if it was an emergency. But I don't really see, I never really see that. But yeah. But yeah, if there's like a log fell in their leg and they got in a car wreck, I would definitely call the 911. And or if I seen them like dehydrating the streets or freezing, I would try to help a little bit. You know what I'm saying? If they were kids, but you know what I'm saying, I never see that happen to kids. But yeah, young adults that need it though, that the economy's in bullshit. I'm just worried about the people that fucked up my life 3 years ago that kept me from all this. I'm gonna get up with them with a dull spoon in about 3-4 months. Catch up with them. But otherwise, this is for young adults that won't. Ain't my family, and could use it like everybody else. But let's see, electric skillets. I'm not. I'm spilling my beans because young adults need it, bitch, down the street that is a fucking dry loafer trying to sell a fucking firehouse and a fucking romantic piece of shit face that you are. You drive a hot dog or maybe too. I don't. I had many of those and declined them for $50 even in '92, bitch. I go fuck yourself. I go fuck my mother and my sister right where your catfish, a tuna, fucking eat through a tuna fish that can belongs, right, bitch? With your fucking sharpened fucking bitch teeth. But anyway, yeah, you want to fight me, bitch? Come knock on my door and throw a fucking punch. I ain't got no teeth. We gonna knock out my pretty nothing invisibles. Yeah, come knock on the door and throw a punch, bitch. Mind your own hot dog, a fucking friendship. I sure as hell ain't you. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, go drive your third wheel on your hottie dog truck, maybe too. Maybe it'll turn into a 79 Dodge and a hot dog. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, I don't know. She hasn't thrown a punch yet. She's still 8 years trying to figure out if she can score if anybody's Tylenol 3 aspirin prescription for $440 from a pig shit. I don't know, or maybe she's trying to find a pap smear ATM outside of town and get her first a pap smear by a gynecologist, stirrups in a pap smear chair when she gets out of town for the first time in her life, and it's an ATM. Dumb bitch. Anyway, yeah, maybe she'll have a stupid cancer to her face and it'll eat her hot dog face off. But I don't know, man. Anyway, yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So my cooking show is yeah, electric skillets. They say they plug into a wall. Only do them suckers for 10 minutes. I mean, like you have to watch it too. 10 minutes. If you don't, if you run it all around the clock all month long, you will burn down the house, or your electric or gas bill will be $10,000. And if the idiot light that says it's going to catch on fire sizzles down, then let it cool down and unplug it because it will. That's why they kind of made them from the '80s. Not a mainstream product, but you can still get them. Electric skillets, toaster ovens. If you're not romantic with a husband or wife or kids or, just trying to save money and be okay, there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? It's real life. But A toaster oven is a super small portable oven. You can fit one cookie sheet in. You can buy them at Walmart. They will burn down too. You have to be very careful and watch them. And they will run up your bill if you cook them around the clock. Think you're going to open up your own restaurant and become rich. Your electric bill will be $10,000 or gas bill, and they will catch on fire. You have to watch that shit like a child. No slamming it on the concrete. You know what I'm saying? Or burning down the house. You have to watch it. Electric skillet. A skillet burner. They sell them. I knew they did. I just had no idea what they were called. A single skillet burner that you plug into a wall, portable style. Electric, what do they call it? A toaster oven. Fits a cookie sheet in about 4 or 5 inches. You're not gonna cook a 6-pound Christmas ham in there, but for 10 to 24 hours. But you can make small cakes. You can make cookies. As long as you're not trying to, impress the ladies or men, or, but it's still something to eat, you know what I'm saying? And they will catch on fire, very dangerous. Electric single skillet is one burner portable. Yes, they do sell them. I had no idea what the fuck to call them, but I finally found it. Those are like $20. You can order them from Walmart. You can get all the shit from Walmart, but don't kill nobody, don't catch the house on fire. And yeah. And there's also electric skillets, electric portable single burners, toaster ovens, electric skillets, and crock pots. See, I don't want to make this stressful for me. Crock pots. If you go to the store and get chuck roast, a chuck roast is cheaper than beef roast. A chuck roast is like 5 pounds, so you know what you're getting. Chuck roast is better than a beef roast. A pork roast, it's called a pork roast, but the proper medical term is called pork roast or chuck roast. A beef roast is something else, but it's a chuck roast or pork roast. I think it's pork. I think it's pig. It's the thigh. Pig thigh chuck pork roast is usually in a 5-pound thing, and it's usually about $8, about 75 cents per pound. And it comes like it's like a half of a loaf of bread. It's like, I don't know, like 2-man hands. It's like 5 pounds, one giant wrapped at the grocery store. One giant piece. It's 5 pounds round, and you buy that. And you, if you have a crock pot for $20, get the old fashioned kind. Don't get the new fashioned kind. And get a crock pot in case of emergency. They're like $20. Get the old style where it's small, medium, or large settings. Well, anyway, keep it on low and put like an inch of water. You can put that pork roast into that crock pot with like 2 inches of water and cook it for 8 hours. And at the end of 8 hours, make sure it's completely done throughout. It'll be hotter than hell. Make sure it's completely done. No blood, no pink, completely cooked. Get it out, and that's just water in it, and let it cool down because it's extremely hot. When it cools down a couple hours later, peel it apart, shred it with your fingers. There ain't no machine that's going to shred it. You have to use your fingers or like a fork. Shred it, and then put barbecue sauce on it and stir it. And you have pulled pork. Another thing with a crock pot is you can get what are they called? Pork chops. Pork chops are very bland. There's meat. They're no doubt good and they're cheap. You can go to that Walmart or a store with meat, and you can get like 16 pork chops for like $4. For like 16 whole pork chops for $4, but they're so bland nobody really wants to eat, but it is good because it's meat. But you could take those 16 pork chops, full 16 pork chops, if you keep looking through the meat section, they have them all the time. 16 pork chops for $4. $4. And you get them home, defrost them, and put your crock pot, small, medium, or large. Don't even get the Bluetooth ones, they're just stupid. Don't even do it. But anyway, you put those 16 pork chops, or however many most you can fit, and put 1 can of, or 1 or 2 cans of cream and mushroom soup without water. Put cream and mushroom soup condensed without the water in that pan, in that crock pot, and put it on low, and put those 16 pork chops in there. And while it's on low, it takes like an hour, and you're going to be cooking these suckers for 8 hours because those pork chops are raw. The 16 of them, they're raw. You put, I don't care if anyone's making fun of me or not because they're young adults. It just gives them an idea for free where to go. And you know goddamn well they're young adults on TikTok. They'll be spicing up, making little cute shapes and colors and adding little things that they know with their little creative minds, and that's good. At least they have an idea where to take their talent. That's what I'm doing. And I'm just drunk and I'm not drunk, but I'm just talking to myself and not even caring. I don't even know if anybody will listen. That's what they're supposed to do. They're creative. They're smart young adults. They can put little colored croutons or chicken chow mein and add some rice beans or something, and they'll have a whole new $1 million meal for themselves and for them to be entertained. It's for them and not bitches making fun of me saying everybody knows that. Because this is all I know. And that's all farther my 50-year-old brain will take me. But anyway, and I'm not about opening up my mouth, making myself look pretty, because I'm 50 years old and not entertaining anybody, just myself. With not a lot of brain cells to burn for a dead body. But anyway, yeah, that's the fun part about it. But anyway, you take those 16 crock pot, or those 16, you put only 2 or 3 cans of condensed mushroom soup and don't use the water. Because for an hour or two, that crock pot's got to get warm real slow like a lake water in the summertime. It's got to get real warm like lake water, because if you don't, you got hypothermia because it's been cold all summer. It's like warming it up, you know. But anyway, for an hour or two, that cream mushroom soup, condensed soup without water, will start to melt. And then those pork chops with the lid on, don't take the lid off for 8 hours, will be steaming in that crock pot with that cream of mushroom soup, making hot, warm, wet air. And those pork chops laying on top of that, in with that hot air and that cream mushroom with the lid on, steaming for 8 hours. And it cooks them pork chops clear through. And by the end of the dinner, you might want to use 3 cans, because sometimes you can put just 6 or 7 pork chops, and there are 8. And there's 1 or 2 cans of condensed cream of mushroom soup without water, because you have to cook them for 8 hours because it's meat, and it's actually steaming like broccoli or something, but it's meat. And then by the time it melts, then pork chops will halfway through, 4 or 5 hours through, you want to take a little bit of the cream of mushroom and open it up, and then take a dipper and dip it, or flip them pork chops so they're in the cream mushroom, so there's a little bit of flavor. And like I said, you young adults can add crazy what you want. You can use country fried, that powdered gravy. Gravy is the hardest thing in the world. It really is. Gravy is the hardest thing, unless you get those powdered packets. But I don't have access to those powdered packets right now. But 8 hours, let that stuff, because it's steaming that crock pot. You can take a raw chicken. What do they call those raw chickens that are whole? You could take a whole chicken, what they call Cornish hens, or a whole chicken raw, which there's not really a lot of meat, you know what I'm saying? But you get a whole Cornish hen and put in that crock pot. It's the same thing with your pork chop, or your pork roast, or chuck roast, pork roast. Those are $8, or $1.50 per pound. They're 5 pounds. Put that in that crock pot with just an inch of water and cook it all day. When it cools down, pull it apart and put barbecue sauce. When you get it all shredded with your fingers, when it cools down, pull pork. And that's pork sandwiches on bread. And otherwise, you can put cheese on it and other shit like that. But what else was I going to say? This is, leftover from my other channel. I don't want to stress myself out, but KY syrup, not the stuff they sell at the grocery store. It's pure liquid sugar that they make homemade candy out of back in the day. You can take that, or make fun of me all you want. It's just better that you know in easy terms, so you guys can tweak it up. Because it is kind of hard to find these recipes these days. And if you don't have no friends, you have no idea what the fuck they even make this shit out of. It gives you an easy, simple idea that you know you can trust. And if not, fact check at me, but not me. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's easy. But anyway, take that KY syrup, which is liquid syrup, put it in your stovetop pan on the stove, or whatever, microwave or whatever, I don't know, I'm not thinking right. But anyway, you get that shit hot, and you can take cereal like Rice Krispies, peanut butter. You can take any kind of cereal and stir it in there, and you make a popcorn ball. But it will burn if you put it on high. Within 5 or 6 minutes, it will start to boil. It's hot candy. It will start to boil, and it will burn black. And if you see it change in colors, it's getting black, and it's ruined because it tastes like turds. You can't eat it. It's ruined. And your pan as well, you cannot let it even start to turn brown. That's how they make homemade candy. You cannot, even if you see it start to turn brown, turn it low or pull it off and let it cool a little bit. And then you can put any kind of cereal in there, and then stir it so it gets around, and then immediately pull it because it'll burn. And then once it cools, like take a metal spoon and scoop it out like on a cookie sheet pan. And then a couple hours later, wrap it like in saran wrap or like giant Ziploc baggies after it cools, because if you don't, if it's still hot, it'll melt those baggies, and then it's totally gross and ruined. Another thing is, what else was I gonna say? Um, Homemade. Oh, that's like they're called popcorn balls on Halloween. They outlawed that because they didn't want parents putting razor blades or poison in it. So you should only make that for your friends. Those are popcorn balls, but you could do it with popcorn if as long as it don't have butter in it. You can do cereal. You know what I'm saying? And another thing is breadcrumbs. It's like stovetop stuffing. I'm talking to dudes out there that are bachelors that will, you know what I'm saying, are really got it rough. If them bachelor dudes, which is homemade stovetop stuffing, take a whole loaf of bread, and if they're in a safe place, take a whole loaf of bread and leave it lay out in a plate, like, out in the open for 24 hours. It'll turn to breadcrumbs. Your bread will get hard. Break that stuff up and you got breadcrumbs. And this is just so anybody that young adults would know how to get how to make it in their mind stovetop. If they don't know, they have an idea to twerk it up. But anyway, you take those hard bread in 24 hours and then put it in a Ziploc baggie or a container, and it should last 7 or 8 months. You know what I'm saying? As long as it's stored in a cupboard or room temperature. But check it every periodically, like a month or two. Because in a month or two, it could get mold on it or discolored. Then you know to throw it out. And it was only $1 loaf of bread. But that's how they make stovetop. But don't put it in a fridge or a freezer. You know what I'm saying? Or get it wet or in the heat. Or, because then it ruins it and it will get mold on it quicker. But periodically check it like every 4 hours and make sure that in room temperature or in a seal baggie, it don't get messed up. But after the first day and it turns to crumbs, put in a styrofoam container, a Ziploc baggie, or a Tupperware, and it should hold for, a loaf of bread for 7 to 8 months or 5 months in a cool room temperature. But anyway, then you can put a barbecue sauce on it like stovetop. You can put what do you call it, homemade gravy, powdered gravy. You can put bacon in it. You can put a chicken broth, a vegetable broth, any of that. You can put on it and make your own. Basically, poor man's food, poor man's stew with the breadcrumbs, and you can put mustard in it. You can put like beans with bacon, like hot dogs. You know what I'm saying? You can just make your own recipe, but that's basically it. But don't put a bunch of weird, really crappy stuff that's going to give you strep throat, make yourself sick. You know what I'm saying? Just that's how you make stovetop stuffing. But yeah, and you can make it, twerk it up. You can put salad dressing on it, do whatever you want. Make croutons your own self, which everybody knows that. What else was I gonna say? Rice Krispies. You put marshmallows in a pan on the stove, the exact same way like that KY. But these are just an idea, so you know the standards, so you know nobody's feeding you a line of stuff, and you have to buy a million other ingredients, and they know what they're talking about to begin with. Just give you a little hint if anybody needs it. But Rice Krispie treats. You take marshmallows and melt them in a pan the exact same way on low, and after a minute or two, it'll start to turn brown. And if it turns black, it's just nasty. But you can throw in any kind of cereal, you know what I'm saying, and mix it and stir it in with those marshmallows before it turns black, and then scoop it out with the metal scoop so you don't burn your fingers. And then wait another hour or two after you put like a cookie sheet with wax paper, like they taught us in a home ec in school, or just a cookie sheet alone or a plate or whatever. And then when it cools later, then wrap it in a Ziploc baggie and don't let it melt the Ziploc baggie. You can add food coloring to it and everything. What else was I going to say? I like bread and country fried gravy. Lots of restaurants will try to sell you toast and gravy, and I don't like toast and gravy. It's hard to stir that stuff up when it's hard toast with a fork and then waiting forever to soggy. It's just called shit on shingles, which is bread and countryside gravy or chicken gravy or beef gravy just on bread. That stuff is good, good, good. Just on bread 'cause it's already softened, so you don't have to worry about getting cavities or hurting your teeth or trying to cut it up. You know what I'm saying? It's already softened. It's way better and just so good. Also, I like, candy apples, carameled apples. You can take candy apples, caramel apples. You take little pieces of caramel, melt them on the stove just so that way and dip your apple. And you got the caramel apples they'd had cut up at the store. I love them. Them are super good. I like spinach with uh, 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 vinegar on it. Spinach cooked in the stove with vinegar. I love that. I love sauerkraut. I love yams. I love yams out of a can. I love yams. Which are sweet potatoes. You can buy whole sweet potatoes, but I don't even. You have to, yeah, put cinnamon and brown sugar sauce on that to make them yams. And if they're already made, you might as well buy them in a can and pay some farmer to do it for you. I love yams. And what else was I going to say? Oh, I'm just going to start saving some money and just use some pink sugar packets and add it to good old-fashioned tap water. Some good old pink sugar packets, sweet and low, and add it to good old tap water and save some money until I figure out and get some money under my feet. And what else was I going to say? Cabbage and coleslaw. Cabbage and coleslaw is made out of a head of lettuce. A head of lettuce, if you crack it inside and the side, in the middle is the head of the cabbage. It's cabbage. It's a lettuce. In the middle is cabbage. You take that and you chop it up and you add mayonnaise. Mayonnaise and something else, and that's your basics to coleslaw. It's cabbage, the head of the lettuce. Inside of a head of the whole lettuce, inside the heart, it's really hard and white, and that's cabbage. But anyway, I like, yeah. I like taking cabbage when you buy it, regular cabbage. Oh, fried onions and fried potatoes and onions. Take a skillet with a little bit of grease and slice your potatoes. You have to peel them first. You have to wash them in the stove or wash them in the sink, your potatoes. Like a 5-pound bag or 10-pound bag or whatever, like 10 potatoes instead of making big potatoes. You have to wash them in the stove, and then you have to peel the skin off from them. You have to peel it because, yeah. And then slice them super thin. Not real thin like potato chips, but pretty thin. And then cut up some onions and fry them in a skillet for like an hour. Fried potatoes and onions. And then when they're done, put ketchup on them, and they're so good. But, yeah, because it takes an hour for them to fry, and if they're not all the way done, because you have to cut them thin, that's the hard part about it. And you have to keep stirring them so don't burn to the pan and stick, and then you won't have nothing. And if you don't slice them kind of thin after an hour, they'll still be raw in the middle. I love them. And then what else? Oh, garlic bread. Homemade garlic bread is just regular white bread, and you put a little bit of butter and sprinkle some garlic salt on it. Not garlic powder, that's straight up concentrate. You want to do garlic salt and just sprinkle a little bit, and you can toast that in the oven if you don't have, access to those big loaves that are already made. But that's garlic bread, which is bread, and you sprinkle with butter, and then put a little tiny bit of garlic salt, and then put it in the oven for a minute or two, and you got homemade garlic bread if you're really that desperate, like we used to have to do in the 80s with our spaghetti. Let's see what else. Oh, a cocktail shrimp. For shrimp sauce is horseradish and 2 spoons of ketchup. If you can find, they used to have it, maybe they don't sell it no more. Horseradish, plain is like a white and it stinks really bad, and 2 scoops of ketchup. That's how they make cocktail sauce for shrimp sauce and every Red Lobster in America. Tartar sauce, which is for dipping shrimp, fish legs, or whatever. Tartar sauce is mayonnaise. 2 spoonfuls of sweet pickle relish, and 3 tablespoons of Miracle Whip is homemade tartar sauce. And you might want to put a couple pinches of sugar. What else was I going to say? Tuna fish sandwich. Tuna fish sandwich is the best. It is a can of tuna drained of the juice, sweet pickle relish. You have to use sweet pickle relish. You cannot use dill pickle relish. You have to use a sweet pickle relish. Drain the can of tuna fish. 2 teaspoons of sweet pickle relish, your tuna fish from a can, and 2 tablespoons of Miracle Whip. And it will make you 2 sandwiches. It is the best. If you can afford a loaf of bread and keep that stuff in the fridge because it's got that mayonnaise. Mayonnaise will kill you. It's 2 sweet relish teaspoons and 3 tablespoons with your tuna fish. Each can will make 2 sandwiches, 4 loaves of bread. Oh, this was what else I was going to say. I got to give a shout out. They're about ready to go out of business. Probably. I mean, I'm not saying they are, but they could. But Gordon's Food Store is an online food store. They serve to restaurants that are in their own business, big or small. They're like a warehouse, and you don't have to have a Sam's Club license or permit. You can look them up online and they see if they ship to your house. They ship a lot of places in America, a lot. But maybe if you're catching this in some weird state like in Idaho or South Dakota, they may not ship to you. Maybe a couple states over. You know what I'm saying? But Gordon's Food Service. You don't need a membership or nothing. Just look online. And there's these things called, they're called some kind of apples. You might want to call one of their spokesmen, their people that work at the cash register, and ask them if they know what it is because they have 10,000, they have a bulk food for the freezer. They'll ship it straight to your house, and you don't have to tell them nothing. Tell them it's your house, and you'd like to order from them. And that's all. It's like a Sam's Club bulk of food in for restaurants, but you don't have to have a permit. You don't have to have a restaurant, and you don't have to pay shit. It's way good. But anyway, but they don't ship everywhere, but they ship a lot of freaking places. But when I worked at this restaurant, they had these things. It was an old country restaurant. And you got 30 apples in a box because it was a restaurant and it was for $30 because the cook, told me you can order them off the thing. But you got 30 apples in a box frozen. You got to keep it in the freezer. And if you order to your house, that's what you'll get. But the box isn't that really small. But you can put them in Ziploc freezers or container and put them in your freezer for a while until you cook them singly. But it's a green, cooked, peeled apple already boiled without the skin on it. Already boiled. But somehow they make it. I don't know how. It's brilliant. But anyway, then they put like a frosting, like the donut white cream frosting around the. Oh no, it's got a pie crust wrapped around that. A pie crust wrapped around tight, and that's frozen around this apple. And then they put a donut white cream frosting that's so good around that, and it's frozen. And you get a box of 30. And when you get that box of 30 for about $32, you might want to call the rep because I know they sell them. I can't remember what they're called. But they come 30 in a box. The box isn't that big, but it's kind of hard to take up all the room in your freezer. But you could put them down in Ziploc baggies, and you're going to cook like probably 5 or 6 the first hour. But you have to put them in a microwave for like, I think, 2 minutes. 2 minutes in the microwave, and they're just the best. I mean, yeah, because I worked in a restaurant when somebody would order them, and you could order them with, what was that ice cream that they had with it? I don't know, but they served that with a scoop of vanilla ice cream, and it was so good. And hardly anybody ordered them. They were so good. Yeah, it was those apples. It's totally cooking. It only takes like 2 minutes or 10 minutes in that microwave. It might have been 10 minutes, but I don't think so. I think it might have been 2. But it was a restaurant. Maybe it was a slow-powered thing. But yeah, Gordon's Food Service, they had a lot of really good other stuff. What else did they have? They had something else that I cannot live without, and you get bulk and they'll ship it right to your house unless you lie and tell me you have a business license and all that shit, and then you're going to be in trouble and they're going to bend you. Just buy it off the internet and they'll tell you where you ship at, and if you have any questions, call one of their clerks on all their many phones and ask them what them apples are. They're really good. What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, those they've changed a lot, but that's pronounced with a V instead of tornado. They're pronounced with a V, vornado. They're little space heaters. Them things work really good. We used to have them all the time as kids, and they kept saying they had other ones that were super even better than that. But the newer ones that are working that will keep people warm for now until they change it up, and then somebody notices it, is called tornado, but it's with the V, vornado. It's a little space heater. Get one of those. If you don't, you can run it all month long, and as long as you have a gas or electric bill, it should only cost like another like $50 on top of your monthly bill. And you can always take with your landlords or realtors, you can take a thumbtacks and get like old Grateful Dead like Rit dye. They have Rit dye or tie dye. It's water, it's food coloring dye or whatever. We used to dye our jeans back in the day with it or make Grateful Dead tapestries. The ones I have in the head stores are extremely beautiful. Not unless you're that talented, but you take that Rit dye, liquid or powder, and you can take a sheet and tie it up with rubber bands. You can tie off certain parts of rubber band, dip it like in this one color, and then when you unfold it, it makes like a like a maze look. And then later on, like put a like tie rubber bands like all around it and dip it in different colors, and you unload it and get creative with that. And you have like a white sheet tapestry. And your landlord ain't gonna get pissed if you have a trailer. You can put that on your walls and not have to look at the trailer and have that as a like two thumbtacks, like a giant poster. And your landlord ain't gonna say shit about two thumbtacks holding up a sheet. And you got tie dye a poster to look at, and you're not damaging the walls. You know what I'm saying? Um, you can do that to t-shirts or your jeans. If you got a pair of crappy jeans but they fit so well, you can go buy some of that rid dye from Walmart and dye them red. You could have like a light pair of blue jeans that they're your favorite, but you like red color. You can dip them in that dye, and then you got red ones. They're like $1.99 for dye, for the rid dye, and it's after a couple washings it fades, but it ain't gonna bleach your pants and eat them out a whole. But they are discolored, but you just have to re-dye them. But for those tapestries, get some white, flat bed sheets, not fitted. Fitted are the ones that go around the corners. Flat is flat. If you get a white one, you can pinch them off, and you could spray paint them if you want. And I even use a red dye or tie dye. You could spray paint. I love myself, and I'm gonna say here and be safe and take two thumbtacks and hang them on your trailer wall, and you got something to look at besides the trailer walls. And you don't have to buy only refrigerators they carry now all over America, every home in Lowe's Depot, where you have to have a Bluetooth operated family size fridge with 10,000 shelves and a little Bluetooth light. And the only way you can buy ones if you have $10,000 and a full meal family deal to keep the little Bluetooth a freezer for $10,000 if you can afford one, plugged into your a 220 house outlet. Yeah, anything else not even cheap enough to buy on a dead person's mortgage. But anyway, yeah, home or Lowe's Depot. But anyway, yeah, those toaster ovens, like I said, parents need to watch them. And if they overheat, like, and the electric skillets, the toaster ovens, the electric skillets, the crock pots, the fry daddies. Fry daddies put 2 or 3 inches of grease. You can cook French fries and all kinds of shit in there. Chicken nuggets, fish sticks with your homemade tartar sauce recipe and your whatever the other one. What I say for shrimp cocktail sauce. That horseradish, it may be hard to find. That Gordon's Food Service, there's one other food from Gordon's Food Service from that restaurant, and I can't think for the life of me. And it's like those apples. 30 apples and $32 ship your door, frozen, like, yeah, like fresh chocolate and a girl's day with chocolate. Yeah, I know some good recipes like that. Like a fricka, yeah, girl's day with chocolate out in a candy bar. Yeah, them apples are where it's at. Yeah, it's just a already peeled, already cooked apple with the stuff they make a cake or pie crust with, wrapped around it within that. And then they got that donut frosting around it on the outside. And yeah, you might need a napkin, but with that, how could you go wrong? It's pie crust wrapped around it already in the pie but when you get it frozen already, it's already done. You just gotta grab it, put it in the microwave. That's why I don't know how they cook the pie crust already to the frozen apple. It's already cooked, and then that donut sugar that's like 2 inches on thick that you will need a napkin or something or like a fork to eat it. But I mean, goddamn, yeah, and but yeah, the toaster oven, the electric skillets, the single burners that you plug into a 220 outlet, not your a radio's Bluetooth, a fucking yeah charger. You need a 220 electric outlet. You have to watch that shit. If the light goes off, it says I'm cooling off and it stops. Let it fucking cool. Fuck the toast because it will catch on fire. That's why they banned them from the 80s. Electric skillets, fry daddies, electric toaster oven, a single burner, and what's the other one? They sell them at Walmart and places like that. You can get them at old electric skillet, which is a giant electric skillet with a lid. You can do the same thing. You cook dollar grilled toasties, grilled cheese like at the Grateful Dead. Piece of bread, 2 pieces of bread, butter each side, and take a Kraft's Velveeta, one slice, and flip it, and you got your dollar grilled cheese. You're not selling a Grateful Dead parking lot ready to die. 2 pieces of bread, butter each side with soft butter thinly. Put one slice of Kraft cheese in between them, and put them in that electric skillet or whatever, and put the lid on for 2 minutes. Flip it, and you're fucking fed. I mean, you can't go wrong. Electric skillet, electric toaster oven, electric skillet, and what's the other one? Toaster oven, which is it's thin. It's like 4 inches tall and stand. A toaster oven, if you're on Walmart, it's about 4 inch square box, and that's what it looks like. It's the right thing. It looks like a 4 inch rectangular square box on two little feet, and that's what it is. It's like I said, you fit one cookie sheet in. It's just like a real oven. But yeah, you can cook it for at least a new one's probably 20-30 minutes long term, maybe 50. But the power light might go on, but they'll kick on. But you know what I'm saying, just watch it. But they sell them at Walmart for like $20. You know what I'm saying, $20, and it looks like a 4 inch rectangular long box with 4 feet, and it says toaster oven. Electric skillet it's a square pan, and that plugs into the back. Easy, one hole. The cord is one hole. One hole you plug it into the skillet, and the other one goes into your electrical outlet in the wall. Electric skillet, it's just like a skillet. And then you got your single burners, which is just like having a full Bluetooth, a flat top screen stove without $10,000, but you got a single burner. You can cook one skillet on it plugged into your house. And you got fry daddies. What else you got? That's basically it. And these are secret terms that nobody in the 80s have ever lived through, especially the 90s, and especially now at Walmart in 2025. And if anybody tells you, tell them it was a secret from another planet and nobody even knew it, and somebody had to suck a fart out of Brad Pitt's 12 monkeys a forehead until it became a sex model prison bridge rape that nobody could turn down, right? Yeah. A single electric stove burner. It's like instead of having a $10,000 stove and oven delivered from Walmart with a flat top and 4 burners, you got one to cook one skillet for desperation to live. About $20. All these bottoms about $20. What else was I gonna say? I need some chapstick. I got super chapstick, bad. A bully fan club that needs to know where I'm at to try and break my concentration, telling me I'm stupid. And I'm 50 years old and I should go commit suicide. And I said, yeah, I'm 50 years old. Quit trying to tell me how to live my life. For 30 seconds, maybe I wouldn't have to go commit suicide. The adult men babysitters that need to know what I think at all times and what I'm doing with my brain, because they think they're licensed by my daddy. And I'm 50 years old. It's my brain. To quit acting like you need to babysit me and know what I'm thinking and doing at all times. I could have a fucking life and I have to die at 50. And have for 3 seconds of my fucking life. So much good shit and then break my concentration.